And we are back with another episode of Final Boss Banter. Thank you for joining us today, spending some time with us. My name is Shaib, and then I have also the lovely Shanique. Um,
Hi.
Shanique, how are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I am doing fine. I'm good. I am definitely good. I am relaxed now. I have had my episode, literal episode and episode of ranting. Um, yeah, I'm good. Have you been playing anything recently?
Mostly I am Future,
Yeah.
and a lot of itch games. That's pretty much been it.
You know, I actually realized why I find it so hard to start new games sometimes. So I've
Mm,
actually been playing, I think since one of our episodes, we were talking about Legend of Korra as one of the games. It's actually on one of our shorts as well. So
mm,
I think, I'm sure I mentioned it before, but I was very close to 100%ing it. So I re-downloaded
yeah.
it. And I've also been playing that. Basically, when my mind gets set on something, I find it very hard to move on to something else. So there's like 3 or 4 games that I'm like one achievement away from being 100%
Mm.
on. That was one of them. So I've actually been playing that, which is really funny, right? Because my last trophy on it was like 2014. And then I just made a new trophy recently. And if you go on my trophy list, you can see like all like 90% of them are like 2014. And then the one new one is like 2024. But yeah, I think there's that game and maybe Assassin's Creed Unity. Like I want 100% those, and then I'll feel much better when I actually start playing. Because I keep stopping and starting Guardians of the Galaxy, the game, but like I actually do want to play it. Like, not gonna lie, it seems slightly average esque. Like it doesn't seem like it's gonna blow my mind, but you know what I actually find maybe a little bit more interesting about it is the mechanics, which is a great segue into our topic. But I will just quickly explain why I find the mechanics interesting on Guardians. Basically, do you remember the Tomb Raider reboot? Like vaguely, you don't not in terms of you've played it, but yeah, you know of it, right? Um, so I think it's the same engine. It's the same engine that they've used from those 3 games into this one, because I'm pretty sure it's also Crystal Dynamics who made those Tomb Raider reboots and this Guardians game. So I'm kind of interested to see how they've taken that engine and evolved it as well. Because you know the reason why I actually clicked, because I forgot who made it and everything like that, but I was playing it and like the ledge jumping mechanic was like the same, and I was like, oh, I've seen this somewhere before, and like he's squeezing through like these like alleyways and stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is how they used to hide the loading screens in the Tomb Raider reboot. So I'm actually like invested in it from that point of view of like seeing like the improvements they've made in that aspect. So yeah, don't know if you had any thoughts about that, but yeah. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, interesting. I like the hiding the game mechanics thing. I always think that that's fantastic. The different ways that people do that.
Oh, you mean the loading screen?
But loading screen, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Mm,
it's cool, right? But yeah, you know, I think that's it's really interesting because like, I think this podcast is given the chance to sort of delve a bit more into like things that like I like about games and like you like about games and stuff. And you would normally think like, oh, you're just into a particular franchise, or like sometimes I feel for myself, or even when I'm explaining it, oh, I'm just into particular franchises. Like all you do is like play Street Fighter or something like that. But actually, like what has helped me vocalize and understand a bit more is that it's also the evolution of mechanics. That's why sometimes when certain games don't evolve their game mechanics to an interesting level, you sort of feel a little bit disappointed. Like I can give like one example of like Last of Us.
yeah.
Like the game and the story, the narrative, you know, I feel like at one episode I've already mentioned this, so I'm not gonna make it seem as controversial, but I think it was like slightly above average, like narrative game. It wasn't like it never knocked my socks off, right? And
Mm.
I'm pretty sure I've said like I like Uncharted, like the narrative Uncharted, especially of number four, like a lot. So when the next game came out, for me, I never really expected like this is gonna be the game that like narratively like they make me feel like they're the best narrative like storytellers. So I never felt that going into the game. Probably like a lot of people might have felt like, right? So for me, it was more like, okay, what have you done to the mechanics that's gonna hopefully pull me deeper into your story? And they added a bunch of like stealth mechanics. Like you could belly crawl for the first time. They added like you could hide in the grass. They added a silencer. They added this like showdown mechanic. But a lot of it was like stuff we've sort of seen before. It didn't necessarily make me feel like it didn't. I don't know. It just wasn't enough of an evolution. But even that was interesting. Even the fact that good or bad is still something very
Yeah.
interesting to analyze, if that makes sense. You know, you're
Yeah.
still going into that game like, because I remember there was a lot of leaks for Last of Us 2, like there was a lot. So even if the story was sort of spoiled for you, to me, I'm still sort of like, well, I got to play this regardless because I want to know, like, especially they're adding all these stealth mechanics, and I'm a big Metal Gear fan, so I'm looking at that like, okay, let's see, maybe they're gonna invent a completely new stealth system that we haven't seen, that could be potentially incorporated into the future, sort of like what Assassin's Creed did with the Eagle Vision. The
Yeah.
highlights all the important stuff, and that's basically in every game now. So I'm sort of looking out for not necessarily like genre defining. It doesn't need to be on that level, but I'm just curious to see if they will have the
Yeah.
influence and yeah. I just thought it was really interesting that the Guardians of the Galaxy had that kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to playing it, not only because it's like Marvel and like a pretty polished game, but also because I want to see how Crystal Dynamics have evolved those. I'm pretty sure it's bugging me now. I'm pretty sure it's Crystal Dynamics. Of the Galaxy game. Uh, Eidos Montreal. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure whoever that company is, they. Yes. Okay, maybe I got the name wrong or they changed their name. I don't know. Can't remember. But Eidos Montreal, I'm sure they also made Tomb Raider.
Okay.
Uh, yes, and it was a collaboration with Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics that made that game. So I'm sure they probably helped. Like companies who have relationships like that, they tend to like, you made 3 games. You're not just gonna disappear off the face of the planet when you're making a different IP. Um,
Yeah. You hope not.
you know what? Now I need to check. Uh, okay, it was only Eidos Montreal, but there you go. So we're talking about game mechanics. Is there a particular game mechanic that stands out to you, or do you want a moment to have a little think while I gush over some random game?
Um. So what I was thinking while you were talking is we spoke about it in the last episode or one of the episodes where I was talking to you about looking at my Steam review and for the year, and one of the things that the Steam review does, I don't know if I'm sure most people know this if they use Steam on the computer, is in your Steam review you can see a kind of like chart of you are what you play is what they call it,
Mm,
and it's like a spider graph where they take the things that you like, the game kind of mechanics or aesthetics or styles or types or whatever that you most played. And it was so interesting for me to look at it because there was the one category that I thought, yeah, That's definitely me. I can totally see, and it was life sim. I was like, yeah, life sim is one of my biggest categories, definitely. But in 2022, it was naval combat, hidden object, cartoon, life sim, open world survival craft, and immersive sim. Basically, loads of simulations, kind of like intermittent with some naval combat and hidden object games. And in 2023, it kind of went to space sim, still, still life sim, survival, still life sim. It's more naval combat. Um, I played a lot of like multiplayer online role play games, still kind of like a life sim. I was like, okay, the naval combat was a bit of a surprise, but it made me think that I like the mechanics because in a way, kind of still a life sim. It's just not the simulation of like a single person. It's a simulation of like a team or a boat. And I like the mechanics of like the way that boats move and the way that you can travel around. And I think I like anything that includes physics more than actual life mechanics. And I was thinking that's it, that's what I like, because even the hidden object, I prefer like point and click, but I like to have like an immersive experience of like audio and animations in some way that it doesn't have to be complicated. Like for example, I was playing one called Time Trap, which is one of only two games in my entire Steam library that I have 100%ed. I am not 100%. I don't go out for trophies, but those games, like that game, I actually got the trophies by accident because I was just like, I must finish this. And then there's a leaderboard within it, and it's like, I will get on one leaderboard. And then I managed to get the trophies by trying to get on one leaderboard, and I was like, ah, oh, my work here is done. Not touched it again. But I'm looking forward to Time Trap 2, which I don't know if that's out yet. But yeah, I like the kind of like sensory immersion more than anything in games. So any kind of mechanic that brings physics, I'm all about it, which is I think we've spoken about this before. I can't remember if it was in the podcast or not. I cannot stand swimming in games. I have not found a game ever where I have enjoyed the swimming mechanic. And I think it's because most games where you're swimming that are simulations, you're swimming, you're breathing, quite possibly you're being attacked by something or trying to get some get some sort of material, because like in raft you're breathing, you're trying to get material from the bottom of the ocean, and you're also looking out for the shark, but you're also making sure that the raft haven't drifted away, leaving you stranded in the middle of the ocean, unable to breathe and just ready as shark bait. And I cannot, it's too much for me. Like climbing, flying, yes, but swimming, no. I'm also not very good at swimming in games. Like I think I told you I've been playing recently the Mario 64 for the first time,
Yeah.
and I cannot swim. The amount of times I have like accidentally drowned,
Can I ask you
or there
something?
was a point. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you playing it with any mods?
No.
Okay, okay, sorry to interrupt, but basically, like what I've learned with some of these games, like some of the older ones, is that the community and big fans of them tend to play them with mods that make it like less frustrating. Because as iconic as some of them are, there is like quality of life improvements that they desperately needed. So maybe I'll tell you why I think this now. Because you know what, in the past I would think like I should play it exactly how it's made to be played. But you will find like big groups of like the fan base of those specific games. They won't play it without the mods. So like Final Fantasy VII, I was watching someone play it the other day, the original. It's like a PS1 game, right? But they have like a bunch of mods on it just to make it like actually like a lot better, because there was some mechanics that at the time weren't very well thought out. But I tend to agree with them that adding the mods could make that game a bit better. Because I tried playing 64, I think once on my DS, because I think they had a port.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I understand it's an iconic game, and I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but it's definitely not aged perfectly, which makes sense to me why you can't swim very well in it. That's why I was like, oh, maybe some mods might be good.
Oh no. Well, that could be true, but I'm just a bad swimmer. I can't like in Barra Trauma. the one I was telling you about where you're in the submarine. I don't go outside the ship. I've been outside the ship, I think, 3 times. The first time, I got crushed by the ship by accident against a rock. The second time, I drowned in a room because I ran out of oxygen and I was too far away to change to get a new oxygen canister. And the other 2 times, I can't remember exactly what happened. Clearly, they weren't traumatic enough for me. But oh, I remember the the other time I managed to swim out and come back in. And that was, I think, was the last time I was like, okay, I've successfully swum somewhere, got resources, and come back. Let's never do this again, and just stop on a win. And then the time before that, I got back in, forgot to take my suit off, took the oxygen out, and suffocated inside the suit, which is down to me, yes. Um, but I'm just bad at swimming in games. I'm also bad at platforming. I am really bad at platforming because like that's what I'm finding in Mario 64. I'm playing it and I'm like, I can't platform. I knew I couldn't platform, but you know when you just think, oh, it's because I've never done it before. I'll pick it up when I play it. I'm a gamer, and then you actually do it. You're like, this is not where my talents lie. In fact, I feel like I might have the opposite of talent in this area. Like, give me a puzzle, and I'm like, oh, yes, puzzle. Give me all the puzzles. But platformers, I'm like, no, it's not for me. But that's nothing. I don't know if that's to do with the mechanics. Maybe
Spatial
because I've
awareness.
actually this is really really bad. But I've actually made a platforming game, which is ridiculous when I think about it, because it's like I was even bad at my own game, and I remember when I was making it, I was talking to my supervisor at the time about it, and I was like, I can't do this, and I was like, does that mean I've made it too hard, or am I just not good at it? And then he was like, don't worry, it's okay. Sometimes you can program a game, and the game is good, but you're not good at the mechanics, and it doesn't mean the game is bad. It's just you don't have those skills. So I got other people that were good at platformers to play it so I could refine it, which you should be doing when you're making games anyway. But yeah, that was a like an eye opener to me that's like, just because you know how to make a thing doesn't mean you have to be good at a thing or that you will become good at a thing by knowing how to program it. So yeah, because like the gravity mechanics in platformers, I think is really important in making it accessible for people like me that are just terrible at platformers. Because even like making sure that if you're having moving platforms, timing is so key so that people could at least count up and be like, okay, 1 2 3 1 2 3, and then like go through it. And so like having those mechanics are super important if you want it to be accessible. If you just want to make a game that's super challenging or make it specifically for people who are like, I love platformers, then you can just do it randomly generate platforms, like go go all out on just making it really really challenging. Whereas like if you actually want to make it so that people that might not play it or might not have experienced platformers, because I also then was thinking, oh, what games did I play when I was younger? And my partner was saying to me, oh, but you played Spyro. And I was like, yeah, Spyro is not a platformer. And he's like, but you have to fly. And I was like, yeah, from one platform to another. Or
And the
if you go
base is
through like
that
the
big.
gate. Or if you go through one of those gates, you get the little things on your wings so that you can fly for longer. And then I was like, yeah, like flying is easier than platforming because I can also glide, and you can do that thing in Spyro which I loved, where when you got to the edge of the platform, I can't remember the button you pressed. I could probably do it, and you kind of like stop, go up slightly, and he lands so neatly and so delicately. And it gives you the opportunity when you get to the edge to say, oh, I'm going to miss this edge. I'm just going to like do this mechanic. And then usually it gives you like a couple of centimeters so you can actually get onto the edge. And it's like, that's not platforming though. That's puzzles. That's still kind of like looking at it and be like, how do I solve this problem? Whereas platform is, I think, more skill based. And I'm not saying I'm unskilled, but I'm not platform skilled.
It sounds like a lot of it is very either puzzle based or sensory for you then.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I think my thing, if I may, um,
Hmm.
I think I do agree with the sensory aspect of it for sure because I remember playing Ratchet and Clank for the first
Mm.
time, and when you swing the little ratchet, like all of the like bolts come in. Like, I mean, I guess everyone likes that, but um, yeah, something like that was always like very addictive in that sense of like watching everything like absorb all of the little bolts and stuff. Um, but I think that is a great example of like sound design, art design, everything coming together during this moment, and then having those moments multiple times throughout the game.
Mm.
Because I would say that's probably and interestingly enough, this kind of thing I think has gone throughout other different games as well. So when we were first talking about like mechanics, Ratchet and Clank wasn't the first thing that came to my mind. Actually, it was Devil May Cry. Um, and I know like I've probably talked about like my core games like a lot, and it's just this is what I play, right? But
Yeah.
the mechanics for Devil May Cry, I think there's the latest entry, which is number 5, and I would probably say is a fan favorite, has something similar to the Ratchet and Clank thing, which is when you kill a demon, it spawns all of these like orbs, and you could absorb all the orbs. Maybe not as satisfying, but it's still present in some way, which is kind of nice. But it's actually the combat mechanics of that game that is very satisfying, and I think it's satisfying on a lot of different levels because that's probably the one game where you're basically looping the same thing. You're fighting the computer, like it's more or less like 80% of the game of what it actually is in that sense. Like there's not, I wouldn't say there's much variation. Like when you go into a new room, you expect to hit the thing over the head with your sword. Like unlike a game like let's just say Metal Gear where you can do, it gives you a bunch of tools. Like you got a tool kit and you're going to use those tools to either go stealth or shoot everything and all these kind of stuff. But I think Devil May Cry, you only have one or two, not as many tools, definitely compared to some other games. Um, but yeah, the combat mechanics in that are great, and the individual animations that you have for each of the enemies, even even in the latest game, right? So number 5, the way that they add the variation between the weapons is so interesting because you can literally like I can go on there now and I've kind of done this on purpose, pick up a weapon that I don't use that much and just see a completely new animation that I've not seen or something slightly different, and it's that novelty alongside of the kind of violence of killing that demon that sort of makes it feel very like gives you that nice feedback loop of reward. um, so yeah, definitely Devil May Cry, and even like so one of the characters he's got like a prosthetic arm, and then on that arm you can interchange all of these different like other weapons, and again you're basically seeing like very specific animations, or like he can shoot the arm as a rocket, jump on the arm, use the arm to surf around, and then aim it at an enemy, hit it, and then backflip off of it, and that's one arm, like one sort of specific animation that they made. So that is definitely in terms of like mechanically what I'm sort of really, I could literally put that on now and it's amazing. Um,
Mm.
you know what? While you were talking though, one new thing came into my mind because we were talking about platformers, and Super Mario definitely, like, among a bunch of different stuff, like, you really got to think of it as a franchise. Effectively, from platforming, they've made this, however many years old style of video game, and that is the main like sort of mechanic of the game. So I think you got to respect the greats when it comes to stuff like that, for sure. But yeah, Mario is definitely it's definitely up there for me as well. Like in terms of mechanics, because there's some things that when you have that low entry, the thing is with Devil May Cry, like if I pass you the control pad right now and I put you halfway through the game, you'll have a very difficult time trying to get the reward feedback loop of the combat because you really need to learn that, right? you know, you said you were bad at platformers, but you'll have a quicker time to adopt it. Like the accessibility level on trying to do that thing is going to be a lot easier for you for sure. That's what I would say. I would say that.
Interesting. See, I would say that a game where it's a simulation, I find it easier to adopt even halfway through because it's a familiar experience because usually a simulation is a person and it's just like, oh, I'm a person. I can guess what you might do. And like everything else is just kind of like experimentation and like, ah, okay, this didn't work. It's still puzzles. So I find that easier because it's just like trying to backtrack, use what I have, and work out what to do next. And I think that's the thing. It's like any game that's like, oh, you need me to use my brain and like put together these sequence of things. I find that much easier and much more fun rather than, ah, you need me to be a skilled gamer and have like fantastic aim. Uh
Reaction time.
yeah, reaction time. It's like, it's probably not going to happen. I think you're asking a lot. But because even like, oh, what did I was playing a lot of Rogue Company and oh, I want to say 2021. It might have been 2022. But I was playing that on the PlayStation. I know, a PC gamer on a PlayStation. Shock, horror. But I quite enjoyed that more for the puzzles of kind of like finding a vantage point where no one could shoot me, but I could shoot everyone. Like somewhere high up where I could snipe. Um, and like the forward planning of that was more fun to me than the actual um I didn't really want to hurt anyone, which I know defeats the point of playing a shooting game, but like that was more fun to me, that like thinking of strategy. And there was those terrifying moments where I'd be in a game and there'd be people who'd never played the game in there with me, so they'd be following me around as if to say, ah, you look like you know where you're going. It's like, oh gosh, I wouldn't trust me. And then there were a couple of games where I had like people just not doing anything, and I was like, what are you doing? I was like, you get up there, you get over there. I need you at the front doing this because you are our tank. I need you like flitting around because you're our healer. And then I became in charge, and I was like, oh, I don't like this. Like, I like the strategy, but no, people, real people and strategy, maybe not. But it was really, really fun, and I think I prefer those kind of mechanics where they allow you to think about okay, these are the resources you have, plan. I think that's what I like about like naval combat. It's like it's not the combat, it's the planning, like those sorts of mechanics. And the mechanics of like having a map and being able to do like auto routes while you can do other stuff. Oh, if you could do auto routes in swimming, that would be great for me. This is a mechanic I need. I mean, it will ultimately be a really annoying mechanic because swimming is one of those movements where it's kind of like up, down, forward, back, and like all the directions. And so inevitably that will probably kill you more times than I'd kill myself. But it'll be a fun mechanic. I want someone to make an entire game. It won't be me. I'm far too busy. So I don't want to add another thing. It's like, because often I think of something, I'm like, oh yeah, that would make a cool game. I should make this game. And then I realize it's like, you know, that meme of the guy holding his girlfriend's hand and he's looking at the
Oh
girl in the red dress.
right.
Me, like all the projects I need to do are standing beside me, and then next to me, it's like, oh, look at that new idea over there. Because even as we were talking about like game mechanics, I was thinking about hardware. It's like I really, really want the game sense. Not sponsored, wish I was. It's the box, the AI powered box that reads your screen or console and puts out a smell
Yeah, yeah, I've
based
seen
on
that. I
what you're
think. I
playing.
think I've seen that.
Oh my gosh, I want it. I want it so badly. When I was younger, I loved 4D cinemas. Um, I absolutely loved like Honey, I've Shrunk the Kids, Honey, We've Shrunk Ourselves. I can't
You mean
remember
3D?
what the other one is. No, 4D.
You had 4D back in Honey I Shrunk the Kids.
Yep. When you
Really?
went to like when you went to theme parks and like when the dog came and licked you and you'd shrunk your cells, it licked across the screen, and then they threw water at you so that it was kind
Oh.
of like immersing you in that way. There was, I remember one bit where there was like rats running, and as you were sitting there, they used like air to blow on the back of your legs to make it seem like there was oh gosh, it
Oh.
was so cool. And I was just like, why hasn't 4D become a thing in my adult life?
Well, there
Why
is
is
4D
it not
cinemas, but they're
normal?
maybe just not
There
as
are,
good as those.
but they're not. But they're not, and it's not like normal. And it's like, where's my smell-o-vision? Why do I not have smell-o-vision? I feel that I have been cheated. But I suppose most people feel like that of our age who've watched Back to the Future, and it's just like, where are my self-lacing shoes as a normal thing in a store? Because yes, they exist, but why don't all my shoes self-lace? Why don't I have an accessible hoverboard? Yes, hoverboards exist, but why don't I have one? Why don't cars fly? All the whys. Why don't I have a jacket that reshapes to my size when I put it on? Why do these things not exist? And it's not that the technology isn't there, because most of them exist in the world, but why are they not a normal staple? And I know that it's like politics and like culture and socio-political
Patents.
things and patents, and
Patents.
it's just like,
I can tell you one thing right now. I've seen some products here in Malaysia that
mm,
I've not seen anywhere, and that's basically because it's like a patent war. So like a Hoover company will have a specific patent in Asia that they just won't have anywhere else. So they will only sell that specific product only in that on that continent or that side of the world where they have the patents. So I think it's probably like 60% of it is just patents.
yeah, you're probably right. But it's saddening to me.
It's
And it
okay.
brings me,
We will get our Back to the future hopefully, and then
yeah, but
whether we'll appreciate it or not at the time, I think is a whole different question.
yeah, but as we were talking, and you were talking about game mechanics and like that sensory feeling, I was thinking about how much I love any game on the PlayStation when I was younger where it made the controllers vibrate. And not just kind of like an intense vibration, but a vibration relative to whatever you were doing. And like even distance relative was just, oh my gosh, like if it was closer it was more intense, if I was further away. And it was like, oh. And then when we were talking I was like, I wonder if I could make my own mouse so I could have a haptic feedback mouse. And then that was when I had that moment of like all the projects I meant to do and meant to finish, like including my PhD, which I should be concentrating on. And then it's like, oh, but homemade haptic mouse though.
Okay, wait. I got a question for you then, because you're talking about
Yeah, go.
vibration controls like back in the day would like blow your mind a little bit. Did you ever play
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 1? This is not going to hurt my feelings,
No.
don't worry. Okay. In this case, because we're talking about sensory stuff, I actually might need to like we might need to do a stream where you're playing it, potentially even on a PS1 if we can get a hold on
I have
one.
a PS1.
Okay, we might need to do that, yeah, because
Okay.
I kind of want to see your reaction to certain things now. I'm actually very interested in how you'll receive it. Because you know what's funny actually, and I think in the last podcast, so in what we've spoken about so far, there's at least two elements which you wouldn't really expect to be in that game that you've already spoken on. So I don't want to spoil it, what it could be or when it could be, but
Yeah.
I feel like we might need to try and put that together. Maybe that could be the Christmas
Okay.
special or something like that. We'll see. Oh wait, I'll have to edit this out because this is gonna go out in January. Okay, wait. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we can. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay. Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna add one last thing on, just in case we do edit a little bit, about swimming and stuff. Now you know what? I think we can end it here. Don't worry. It's fine. It's fine. I don't think
Okay.
we're gonna get better than that. All right. That's been Final Boss Banter. This is an episode in some part of a year. Uh, Thank you for joining us. Thank you for spending your time with us. Please comment, like, subscribe. Let us know what game mechanics you like. And, what else did we talk about? I can't even remember now. Memory of a goldfish. Game
It
mechanics.
feels so long ago.
I know, it wasn't even that long ago. It's half an hour. Okay. Please also, if you remember what we spoke about, maybe comment that too. All right. We will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.